Check, check. Good morning. Check, check. Good morning. Hello. I am going to be eating some breakfast very quickly while people start coming in for the morning stream, so I will be right back. Let me know how the audio levels are, as always. Almost ready to get started. Hope you like Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. And hello, new Arthur, Caleb Sweet, Scourge 57. I do have some Jesta models. They're both like ones they just kind of built for fun. Although one of them I did try out some really rudimentary LED stuff on. That's like barely acceptable. Alright. Just inhaled some granola. Lighting looks good. Experimenting with the lighting a bit, as always. It's a little bit too much effort this morning to turn on the color changing light bulbs. And we've only got, I think, 3 pieces to finish in this stream. Shouldn't be too tricky. There's the head, waist, backpack, and that's all that's left to do for the initial edge highlights. I think I'll take 90 to 120 minutes to finish this morning. There's already some black done on the waist. And all of these have easy grab points to use. I don't have to use the weird poster tacked end of the skewer. Also, I realized that I forgot to show off those Viking models I was talking about at the end of last stream, even though I said I would. So I'm just gonna quickly do that because they're pretty cool models. Also, what would I make if I'd combined all the Jesta variations into one model? I don't know how many variations there are, but there's probably at least 4. So it would, if I were just a master builder, I would obviously combine it into like an 8-legged, 8-armed Jesta monstrosity. Also, hello Caleb, it has been a long time. Nice to see you in the chat again. I've been alright, just living life off camera a bit more this summer. But as you can see, I've been building these resin models for a new Conquest army and Nord's army. There's some more other ones built that I didn't grab because I do need to get to the gunpla painting for this as advertised gunpla painting stream, but I did say I would show these at the end of last stream. We got the Skuld, the Thane. I'm not sure how it's the white resin looks a little overexposed with the camera right now, but it's kind of just how it goes with unpainted models like this. This is the Shield Biter. He's got a lot going on his base. The Savage. He's got a whole resin base, so this is going to be annoying to drill a magnet into, or drill a hole for a magnet. We got the Captain. We got the variant Sculpt Konungir. The sword on this one had to be bent into shape with some boiling water. Same with the staff on the Shaman here. Alright, we'll get to the gunpla now. I'll just put these off to the side. Alright, now I know it looks like before I do the edge highlights on the purple and black on these pieces. Okay, well the black edge highlights on this has been done already, but the purple, I did some sanding after getting the base coats done because there are just some imperfections to work through before I got to like the edge highlighting, so I do need to just apply a quick another coat of purple, and then this one definitely needs some more coats of the black for the same issue. Let's take a look at the head. Yeah, the head could use some base coating as well, it looks like. Color separation on this kit, they're doing a 2-color scheme on this kit. Makes the color separation interesting because there's multiple areas where, like, if it was doing a 3-color base, it'd be easy to pick which color to paint things, but because it's only 2 colors, then there's I have to decide at certain points, like this cheek focus, like the cheek part with the chin part, like I gotta decide where to do like the same color next to each other. So that's just an interesting challenge. So let's see what paint. And it's all kind of evenly dried out. Let's go with purple first, because purple is fun. So we gotta recreate the base coat, which is excuse me, beaten purple with just a drop of this custom mix put in. One of the Mayhem signature custom shit mixes. Hello, that Angel Ray. Thanks for checking out the stream. And much like the highlight color, it's only mixing in 1 drop of this stuff. In classic Mayhem style, we don't go by exact ratios, we just eyeball the mixing. Country Fried Minis in the stream yesterday said apparently I'm good, or he's impressed by my ability to just eyeball mixes. I never considered it a special talent of mine, but maybe it is. It's obviously better to not eyeball your mixes and to just mix consistently with measurements. I don't like spending the time to do that though. P3 paints used to be my favorite, but I'm not sure if that's changed just because I haven't been able to buy them for a while, so I've kind of, because my local game store stopped carrying them. Or Privateer Press stopped making them for a while, it's hard to say. But I do wonder if a more Vallejo build these days. I definitely use more Vallejo paints, just that's mostly because of availability and consistency and price. My local game store just started carrying Pro Acryl though, and I hear a lot of people praise that. Make the camera a little darker. All right. So we're just reinforcing the base coat on the areas that it rubbed off when I was sanding away the initial imperfections. There are a couple areas like on the arms too which needed gaps like refilled in with Vallejo putty. Also, hello Super Sake Senpai. Welcome back. Thanks for coming to the morning stream. In addition to the evening stream last night. Gotta play the next song. I guess it's probably evening for some of you watching. It might be jarring hearing me refer to it as the morning stream. That's generally why in a week, if I'm doing one evening stream, I like to do an equivalent morning stream for the people who can't catch the evening stream. We did break the burp record at the last night's stream. As you might have noticed, it was very exciting. I'm drinking coffee right now though, so I don't think we're gonna be topping that stream today. Burp enhanced streams is more of a evening stream thing. Some areas it's like didn't really need a second coat, but I might as well just give it a bit of a thin one to make sure it matches the color of the places that just got touched up, and also just usually it doesn't hurt to put just one more thin layer on top. And do let me know if the autofocus is getting too crazy. Yeah, these big flat areas are good examples of like why you can't, it's like not worth the effort to strive for like really flat, smooth surfaces when hand painting. It's just so hard to like avoid having those brush strokes. Hence why I will cover it in glazed gradients or filigree to just distract from that. If you want a really smooth finish, you should just be airbrushing, in my opinion. Yeah, you could definitely modify some Battletech rules to use Gunpla with it. Also, hello, Jukeboxer. Yeah, this waist piece does kind of look like a Decepticon logo. Just mop up a bit of paint from the crack there. We don't want to cover up that shifter paint. Okay, that's enough purple touch up on the waist. Over to the head. At a certain point in the stream, I'll have to go refresh my paint water so that I can re-moisten the palette, because I haven't done that this session yet, because I didn't want to delay the stream any longer. So I'm guessing the timing will work out that after I'm done touching up the base coats, I'll be out of coffee, so I'll need to get up anyways. Gotta make sure I don't spend too much time dilly-dallying on the back of the back bottom angle of the head where no one's gonna see. I like really, like I should really not even be edge highlighting it. But knowing me, I probably will at least give it the initial edge highlights. I can be a bit of a completionist that way with the edge highlights. Bottom, the V fin here, that's the spot I missed. It's another area where I don't need to be this, like, too worried about making a small mistake because no one's gonna see it. I'm referring to like the bottom edge of the V-fin I was just painting. Now that I'm on the front, I gotta pay a bit more attention. People are definitely gonna look at this area. It might be the most viewed area. Okay, can we let my breath go there? Hello, Artie Chard. Yeah, that's if you take that what I said out of context there, jukeboxer, it sounds bad. But it's not the first time I've made an edging joke in the edge highlighting stream, let me tell you. Yeah, Mutsume Delita. Jukeboxer's kinda right. I mean, paint will flake off in the joints, I'm used to that though. And when I'm hand painting like this, the kit is like partially locked in place. Like I lock up, before I start painting, I kind of commit to a certain pose and lock up the joints that are like definitely gonna have paint rub off. But I usually keep the ball joints active a bit so I can do a little bit of reposing, mostly for the sake of photos, or like partially disassembling them for transport. But yeah, when I'm painting with acrylics, I definitely lock things in place for the sake of paint flaking off. And in terms of the other handling, for when I do repose it slightly or move it around, because I am customizing these for tabletop gaming, so they are going to be moved. I do double coat the varnish. I'll show you the base for this project so you can kind of see what I mean for the tabletop gaming. So it's going to get glued to this base eventually, and it's a 4-quadrant base, so you can have arcs for the whatever tabletop game you're playing with your mecha. Yeah, well, when you got the 2-scale Gundam statues, that's a bit different. Those are stationary so they don't fall apart and kill anybody. But I guess that's why the big, giant moving one that is now out of commission in Yokohama was a big deal. If you feel bad that you didn't get to see it before it closed, I'm right there with you. I haven't seen the new Gundam version that I think they set up in Fukuoka. The one that has like the different back funnel. I haven't seen that one either. I've seen the unicorn at Odaiba. That's the purple touched up on the head. Don't know how much there will be to touch up on the backpack. I can see a few spots. I think I'm just gonna actually, no, it doesn't make sense to take it off. I'll just take the skewer off for when I'm painting the gun part, just for maximum stabilization. Yeah, we definitely need some up in here. I didn't even base coat it. Probably because the brush I was using at the time didn't quite have the tip to get in there without making a mistake onto the metallic bits that I would prefer not to redo. Come on, focus. You can do it. Oh, geez. Just move my hands lower. Move the camera higher. Yeah, I remember this part now. I had to scrape away a lump of something with a hobby knife after doing the base coat. It's not the smoothest part here, but this is like a piece I kitbashed 4 years ago, so it was a little hastily put together back then. Thankfully it's not in a high visibility area. Yeah, Mutsume. I kind of treat my gun, when I'm hand painting a gunpla, I kind of treat it like a statue, like a giant miniature. Yeah. The long range fin funnel, yeah. It does function. It is like a cool looking weapon. I started thinking it looked cool once I saw it in the animation, when you see it animated. But yeah, for the statue, it's a good functional thing. Nice. Locksuck is building a real grade new Gundam. I hear that's a good one. I think the high new looks cooler personally. Oh yeah, thank you for the kitbashing compliment, Artie Chard. I mean, it helps when it's got the same, like, base coat layers of paint as the other parts. If you saw this piece before I put the primer on, there was a very obvious, like, kitbash piece that was a different color than everything. Artie Chard, you have the O. That's one of the best mobile suit designs of all time. Just a big yellow chonkster. Blue Parappa has the high grade version and the chibi SD version. It's not like the regular SD too, it's like the extra chibi proportioned SD. We also got the pack that's like the 3 aquatic mobile suits in the like ultra chibi SD form. So the Zoc, the Gog, and the what's the other one? The one that's they pilot in part 2 of Thunderbolt. Ak-Gai. Ak-Gai's the worst one, just saying. Worst design, I mean. Yeah, competition is stiff when you're going up against the GOG and the Zoc. You can see the paint looks almost a little too thin here. The edge is like pulling back a bit. Oh, the high GOG is also amazing. Your one aquatic suit off the entire line. Which one? Oh yeah, the Gundam artifacts are really, I'm really happy with how my Nightingale turned out, but the seam lines and like the Nightingale were pretty rough, not gonna lie. Like it's smaller, so it's like it takes less effort to fix because of that. There's just less plastic to deal with, but you know, it's also smaller, so it's just not quite the same. I do have the artifact, the Tall Geese artifact kit in a drawer that I'll do something with someday. Yeah, I really want a high-grade Zoc. They're hard to come by. It's a shame. Blue Prep also has the high GOG. High grade, that's a good one. We're big fans of the aquatic suits here, although we don't have, oh, I can't remember the name, I feel bad. The Zagok. We don't have one of those. I should have just enough purple to finish touching up the base coats on this one. Yeah, this curved piece on the back here, this was like the piece that was blue that stood out really, really hard. Are you saying it looks like a capsule, Artichard? I'd say so. I wanted the previous Kitbash, you know, it's like there's like some energy turret, kind of like Predator style, coming out of the backpack, and there's just some kind of out of the box detail on the backpack I wasn't super jazzed about, so I thought I could cover it up with a couple pieces that also bulks out the backpack a bit to make it look like it's an actual battery that could power this weapon, and the weapon is not just like conjuring energy out of thin air. Because, you know, this back, in theory, either for like the fake science fiction of this mobile suit, you know, it needs a certain amount of fuel or power in it to like power its thrusters and move around and be fast. And then it's like that battery is also needing to power the like laser gun coming out of its backpack. So it's like, let's bulk out this backpack a bit so it looks like it's got a bit of an extra battery on there for the gun specifically. And like this one, it doesn't have the full-on jetpack of the aerial or something, so I'm not giving it like the actual jet equipped rules in Gamma Wolves, but like the model itself has like a bit of a thruster on this backpack, and it's got the waist thrusters, but I think like, oh, those are just used to help it like dash around on the battlefield and like just like get into combat faster. But they're probably like maybe you can like max out the thrusters to like get a bit of a long jump going. But it's like, it doesn't look the same way the aerial does, where it's like, oh yeah, this thing's like hovering. It can like just fly straight up a building if it needs to. Same thing with the Gushin. This one's like, it's got thrusters all over its back, but it's like, no, those are just definitely just used to like stabilize its girthy bod. Oh, you're only missing the capul. I don't know that one. Going on Castlevania rules. Yeah, or like it can do a double jump. You know? Okay, now we gotta move on to touch up the black sections, which I think it only really needs to be done on the backpack. So you already did that on the waist and the black sections on the head. Actually, I think there is one little patch on the head that could use some. Yeah, that makes sense that you'd be missing it because I'd never heard of it. You converted the Perfect Strike Freedom Build series energy shoulder Gatling back into a physical ammunition weapon. That sounds cool. Were you talking about what their builds is always so official? Okay, back to the head for a brief moment. Oh, mine. You flatter me. I mean, this build is kind of an official build because it's not that different, or there's only a few modifications made from just like the regular high-grade Barbatos Lupus. And this is actually the P Bandai Iron-Blooded coating version of the Barbatos Lupus. I think it was the first Barbatos I've ever bought was this one. My local stores just happened to have it. Yeah, that only really needed the one section of touch-up. paint application, the modification look like something you see in those Japanese book magazines, the ones where it's all the best in their techniques. Wow. Appreciate that compliment. I've written an article for a blog before, but I haven't been asked to contribute anything to a magazine. That'd be cool to do someday. And if I had a whole team of people, I could churn out videos and also like blog versions. That's a bit too much to do all by myself though, I'm afraid. One person did email me about doing an interview for their online blog once, and I said I was a little busy. I said, like, I'm a little busy, follow up with me in a month, and then they never did, so they must have forgotten. Or something changed for them, they stopped writing it. In hindsight, perhaps I should have just made the time. I don't remember what I was doing. This was probably like over a year ago. Or might have been around exactly a year ago. So I was probably just like eager to get to the aerial project and use the footage I shot at the UK Games Expo and stuff. Okay. I need to change the paint water so I can refill the palette. And I'm also gonna get some water for myself. I kinda had to use the washroom too. I'll be back as soon as I can. Shouldn't be too long. Hopefully 5 minutes max. 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, time to re-moisten that wet palette. Over a year ago, I was in Birmingham. You could have bothered me at the expo. That's too bad. I don't know when I'll be in Birmingham next. It'd be cool living in Birmingham just so you could be, like, close to the UK Games Expo. Living there, I mean. I don't know what it's actually like to live in Birmingham. The expo center is, like, kind of just outside the actual place. Okay, we're gonna... Let's get the black done first. Because we've already got it done on the waist. I think, yeah. I mean, I get it if you're too shy or don't want to bother people you've seen online when you see them in real life, but, you know, I got no problem with it as long as you're, you know, respectful, polite, and all that. Judging from your chat behavior, you seem to have manners. Yeah, imagine if you live on the other side of Birmingham, it would be like a pretty long trip. I know some of the Conquest people that I hung out with there. Oh wait, I gotta remember to re-moisten the palette before I dirty up the water. Almost messed up my whole trip to refill the water there. Yeah, the Conquest people went to the UK Games Expo. Some of them like had some pretty long drives to do, which, you know, as a Canadian, I'm used to long ass road trips. Like, I'm doing a 7-hour drive on Friday, which is like pretty normal. It's more like the traffic going into the convention center from the highway sounded a little nutty. And also one of them kept having to do trips from like the convention center hall, like gaming hall, into the, or to the parking lot to get the terrain and stuff, and they didn't realize until the last trip that there was like a shuttle that would take you there, because it's a pretty long walk to the parking lot. Alright, sponge has been re-moistened. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty efficient to have the, like, big convention center right next to the airport and, like, at a big train station like that. Calgary, where I'm in, like, the airport is in the middle of nowhere, but it's not connected to any train station or convention center. There's a bunch of hotels nearby. That's about it. Hello, Kitbash Carnage. Thank you for stopping by. Alright, back to the edge highlights. Let's, the head will be done faster. Let's get that done first. Hopefully I eyeballed the mix of dark gray well enough. This piece is small enough. It's kind of less like edge highlighting and more just like building up layers. That'll get glazed over a bit later when it comes to painting the green eye glow. It's the main thing. Keeping this color scheme is just like, no, it's not Ava Unit 1, it's just purple and green. So that's like the green is just coming from like sections that are going to be glowing green. No actual green armor panels, but you know, that's me just kind of while secretly being like, yeah, I mean, it is a Ava Unit 1 color scheme, because come on. It's iconic. Everyone's gonna think of it when they see purple and green. Not everyone. If you see purple, green, white, then I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh, it's Buzz Lightyear. See, there is a bit on the top of V-fin here that looks like we'll need, some of the shifter paint will need touching up. Probably save that for like the very, very end. Come on, focus. Okay, that's the initial black edge highlights on the head done. Mrs. Nesbit. What's that reference to? Now you can see there is a ridge, or like a seam line or mold line on this black panel that I didn't quite fully sand away. So now I have to make the decision as to whether to paint it as an actual panel line that's there, or just leave it black where it won't be noticed, depending on how the light hits the piece. I'm gonna go with the latter of those options for now and see how I feel about it later. I am Mr. Nesbit. Oh, okay. I wasn't much of a Disney child growing up, so I guess that's why I missed that reference. I have seen the first 2 Toy Story movies, but I guess I haven't rewatched them enough to get all the references. this area, I don't know. I guess I might as well like edge highlight all the way down to like this line here, but pretty sure that's as far as I need to go in terms of like what's actually going to be visible. And I don't think I'll be like doing much beyond the initial edge highlights in this area because it is going to be pretty obscured and therefore not getting that much light. I mean, it'd be easy to make a model kit of Ramael. Honestly, if Bandai did a model kit of Ramael, there would be a decent amount of people that would buy that. Like me. You know, they just... It could be really cheap because it would only require like a couple runners on a flight stand. Some creative textile artists could make a schoolgirl uniform for it to recreate that one meme about Ramael being best girl. On this side of the backpack, there's even more egregious examples of things that were not sanded well enough. Ava Unit 1 does notice Ramael. Everyone notices Ramael. She's unforgettable. Laying on the line a little bit too thick there, and also over here. But when I enter the stage of like completely finishing up the black edge highlights, I'll start from pure black again to like do the final touch-ups. I'm just not sure if I'm gonna do, after the initial edge highlight stage, I'm not sure with what I'm gonna do next. Is finishing up the black edge highlights or starting the like blocking in of the filigreed. I am kind of eager to get to blocking in the filigree and doing those good old squiggly lines. Because that is a bit more enjoyable for me than the final edge highlighting stages. I almost had a burp there. a morning burp. And yes, we are back to Mozart. I switched it away from the ambient music that was playing. Yesterday's stream didn't get any false copyright claims, which is good. So as expected, I was using the YouTube audio library, so I just gotta get around to like properly setting up the music and not just like streaming it. I should add that to my to-do list so I actually get it done. Should probably be using a thinner brush for this part. Ooh, that was really uneven. It's okay, we'll touch that up later. That's why you gotta watch the streams. You can see the really early sloppy stages in good detail. Yeah, now I'm also seeing some parts that I missed when I was touching up the black anyways, so we're definitely revisiting this with the pure black. Yeah, I missed touching up the black on this part too. Silly me. I must have been excited to get back to the edge highlights. Okay, almost done the black edge highlights. Gotta remember the position I put the camera in because I feel like the autofocus is better. Okay, back to purple. This time, instead of mixing in a bit of my custom dark blue mix, we got this kind of rosy pink mix. I'm not sure what to call it. Desaturated rose pink something. see how I do with eyeballing this mix. This is always a fun part to watch, the paint mixing. For me personally anyways, it is. I think as I mix this in with the paint that was like already on the palette, I think we got about the right mix going. This palette's paper is gonna have a lot of layers of crusty paint on it by the end. I've had it going for a few weeks already. Well, it's been a while since we touched the waist, so let's move to the waist. I'm gonna use a slightly bigger brush first, though. Bigger brushes are better for, like, the longer panel lines on the back here. I can see I painted a fiber or something onto it there. Definitely want to get rid of those before they dry into the paint. Sorry, I don't know how long that was out of focus for. Oh, it looks like that's drying to about the right shade. Yeah, I mean, well, with Barbatos Lupus, it's all in the hip thrusters, though. These actual, I mean, this is it's got some, like, aesthetic hip pieces, but the real draw to the eye is those hip thrusters. And the long legs. Barbatos got luxurious gams. I'm just thinking, which Gundam would people consider to be the sexiest Gundam? But I don't know how to interpret that question. Either like, well, sexy could mean like just like appealing mech design, general like vibe or aura a kit gives off, or it's like, are we saying like sexy in terms of like how, like are these Gundams proportions like human like? Does the Gundam have the traditionally considered sexy hourglass figure? And now the conversation is just getting weird. I think the former, like, more vibes-based approach is more appropriate when discussing mechanical designs. You should be able to look at something that's not humanoid at all, like a tank, and be like, yeah, that's sexy. And by sexy, I mean, like, it's a cool tank, and I appreciate the engineering. And I declare this weird tangent over. Alright, back part of the waist is done. Or the hips. The waist on Barbatos is almost non-existent. Onto the front. Sometimes I think I'm not painting with the tip of the brush. It's like I'm painting with the bit of dried up paint that's at the tip of the brush. And then it's fine until that clump of dried up paint ends up on the model. Happens a lot more the brighter of the paint you're painting with. The pigments tend to be a little chunkier. Oh yeah, it just happened there. Saw a little speck of something make its way into the model. I mean, that's probably like also due to me using a palette paper that should have been replaced already. But it's like, I like to save the palette papers at the end of the project and take a photo of it, and you can see like all the caked on layers of paint throughout the whole project. I find it satisfying anyways. And I got the idea from seeing other people do it, so clearly I'm not the only one. G Gundam? Yeah, I guess the Nobel Gundam is like... some people would consider a sexy Gundam. It's got those like female coded proportions. Or you could even say the G Gundam is sexy. I've definitely seen people refer to Exia as sexia before. I saw an Exia body pillow once, actually. But, you know, there's like body pillows of everything in anime. It's not surprising at all that there's like sexy mech body pillows. It ain't an anime franchise if there isn't some weird degenerate thing going on. But I mean, really, body pillows, like, most of the time aren't that degenerate. Again, it really depends, I guess. I've seen some pretty degenerate body pillows. Thankfully, the Exia body pillow I did see was not that degenerate. Looks like the camera's getting a little choppy. We'll reset that just as I finish this up here. Okay, well with that we're done edge highlighting the waist, or the hips pretty much. No, Nether Gundam. That's the windmill one. That's pretty sexy. Alright, let's do the head. And this stream will probably wrap up in like it'll be under 2 hours, we'll see. The backpack will take longer than all the other pieces to do the purple on. The morning streams don't always break the 2-hour mark. I'll be fine if this one is like at least 90 minutes, which it definitely will be. And this is the part I was talking about earlier where I don't really need to edge highlight it, but because I'm me, I will just a little bit. Just for me. Oops, got a bit of purple on the black there. The Nether Gundam, yeah, that would be an amazing, like, ornament to tie the living room together. So many of the designs from G Gundam would be. Yeah, when it comes to doing the filigree designs, I should probably avoid doing them on the back of the head here, because that would just be a little silly. Like a little bit of a unnecessary amount of work that could be better spent on other parts of the model that the eyes are going to be actually drawn to. Like those long, sexy legs. Am I right? Yeah, Gundam Rose is really good too. Especially when you can get it in like a display with the roses. The rose funnels flying around. There's one, a custom of that at the anime convention this year that was really nice. It like almost won the People's Choice Award. Can't remember which one I voted for, the People's Choice. There's some good ones. Sorry, I'm less talkative right now. I'm concentrating on these edges. They require my full attention for a moment. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if this, like, this cool zigzag deep panel line on the back of the head was visible in, like, one of the photos I take of this at the end. Like, that'll be enough detail to show off on the back of the head. It doesn't need extra filigree free-handed in there. Maybe, like, the very front of the forehead, part of the V fin here will get a bit of filigree because it's, like, prominent enough. Probably decide that when the filigree is blocked in on the other parts of the model first. I'll have a better sense of what it needs. I got some purple on the extra V-fin bit there. Can I mop it up? Yes. Probably need to touch this up anyways later though. Okay, we're almost done edge highlighting the purple on this. I've painted purple enough times now. I think I prefer a more violet purple than an indigo purple. I like the more red leaning stuff than the blue leaning stuff. Maybe it's because I just love purple red as like a color combo. This is what I use for the characters in my 100 Kingdoms army. That's their main like indicating colors. The regal combo of purple red and then sometimes throw in some white in there. Alright, now for the backpack, let's do the shoulder cannon or laser, auxiliary laser first. Because I'm going to be handling, or it's easier to paint this part if I can handle the backpack section without worrying about rubbing off any paint. I'm still 4 years later pretty happy with how this like backpack accessory bit was kitbashed. I think almost every single Gundam, custom Gundam I've done, there's at least a tiny part of it kitbashed. I don't do too many like super complicated kit bashes, but it's hard for me to do a project, whether it's a miniature or a Gundam that doesn't like, has a tiny little bit customized. Like I haven't done too many customizations on like the resin characters in my Conquest armies, but done a ton of kit bashing with the plastic infantry models. you unintentionally painted something purple earlier? I mean, that sounds like a cool red-blue gradient to me. Yeah, I thought there was a little extra ridge I could. Maybe I won't do it on the bottom side, just the top side. Don't know why the music just stopped there. Guess I'll just switch tracks. Yeah, I gotta remember to... Okay, after I use the paint on this brush, I need to add a note for next stream, which will probably be next week, is to actually download some music for it. It's like I might be able to stream again tomorrow morning or this evening, but I'm going away on the weekend, so I don't want to get too carried away with the streaming and neglect to take care of the other things I need to do. Okay, now I can hear some music again. I do kind of wish the YouTube audio library had more than just the few classical music tracks on there. They're nice because they're like, well, the Mozart one's like half an hour long. And, you know, when you're painting, having classical music on in the background just makes you feel extra fancy. Okay, we're done the gun part. Onto the backpack. Just gotta wipe some dust off with my finger. After this initial edge highlighting stage is over, all the other painting stages, it's a lot harder to make up excuses to not wear a glove, so you'll probably see me reluctantly doing so. Because I don't really have any good excuses. I usually just don't wear a glove because it's like I don't like my hand getting all clammed up. Oops, I made a little mistake there. Can I mop it up? I think so. Hello, Braven. I mean, when you say decent primer, I'm assuming you mean like a rattle can or something. Cheap acrylics, if you're hand painting them on, don't expect a super even finish. Like, expect a lot of brush strokes showing up. If it's your first time painting a kit ever, like, you might be best off just trying just rattle can painting the whole thing in sub-assemblies. Yeah, if you're using cheap acrylics and hand painting, like, expect to have to do many layers to get a good finish, or to just like have brush strokes. And it depends like what colors you're painting over what primer as well, because, you know, painting light colors over a black primer, that's gonna make like require you to do more layers, and it gets pretty tedious, so it's easy to want to like give up sometimes. Like, you know, cheap paint can sometimes not be as fun to work with because it's cheap and lower quality. You know, like cheap dollar store acrylic paint won't have as many pigments in it a lot of the time. Although I know Country Fried Minis has like a few different kinds of dollar store paint that he swears by. There are some gems to be found out there. I'd say most of the time, not like, you know, those dollar store paints aren't really designed for use on like scale model painting. So the way they behave is just like not gonna be as easy to work with compared to, you know, like a Vallejo game color, which is designed to be painted with this size of brush like on models. Hopefully that makes sense. Acrylic ink is worse than acrylic paint if you're hand painting it. Like, acrylic ink will just like it's thinner, so you could like acrylic ink can be used to like mix in for your shadows and highlights. You can airbrush acrylic ink too. But like acrylic ink is also going to be fragile, so if you're using it on a kit that's going to be moved around a decent amount. Like, I've seen acrylic ink used a lot with miniature painters, often through the airbrush or like mixing in with paints as they're glazing or layering or whatever, but I haven't seen it used with a gunpla from what I remember. This is the thing, when you're painting gunpla with acrylics, you're sort of like painting gunpla on hard mode. Depends on how you look at it. Because, like, well, if you don't have an airbrush, it's the only option for painting, kind of. But, like, airbrushing gunpla is kind of the norm. So it's like, what you see a lot of people doing is, like, recoloring things and getting, like, nice smooth base coats, which isn't really possible with hand painting. Yeah, if it's your first kit, maybe, or if it's the first gunpla you've ever painted and you don't have a lot of experience hand painting models, maybe, like, for some of the larger areas you need to cover on the kit, try and just rattle can paint it. Or if you have an airbrush, do that. And then, like, maybe some of the smaller bits, like details you would have to mask away otherwise to get the color you want, you could try hand painting those. So, you know, the larger and more flat the detail, the harder it's going to be to hand paint effectively. But then, you know, if there's, like, small panels within larger panels that you want to be a different color, like, sometimes hand painting that can be easier and less tedious than it would be to mask it. Like, masking, you kind of gotta paint things in a different order sometimes. Like, it's easier to paint the small detail and then mask it up, as opposed to, like, paint all the detail around it and then you have to mask up all the detail around that. Yeah, painting a if you painted a bunch of miniatures, then, like, painting a gunpla as a miniature painter definitely has a bit of a adjustment period to go through. Hey, even though it's, like, more tedious, I do prefer it to airbrushing most of the time. With that being said, the airbrush is still a tool that gets used on basically every gunpla project. The just, like, fine motor skills I've chosen to practice have been with the brush control more so than the airbrush control, and I don't know, there's definitely, you need to get lots of practice with the airbrush, mixing the right consistency of stuff if you're, like, doing lots of color mixing. And I don't find that super enjoyable, so my airbrushing is usually just kind of limited to base coating. Also, I find it's when you like airbrush on a really nice gradient, there's a lot of pressure to, like, not make any mistakes on it, because if you have to fix a mistake on it, it can be very difficult, because you can't, like, recreate the airbrush gradient with a brush, and you have to do a bunch of masking if you want to, like, go back to airbrush, go back to fix it with the airbrush. And, like, it's totally doable, and lots of people will do it that way. People who are, like, more comfortable with airbrushing and masking than I am. But those people will often not be as comfortable as working with the hand brush like I am. So everyone's got their own approach, you know? That's the beauty of the hobby. I'm fine being in the lane of the person who does all the hand painting. You know, I'm not the only one out there. I'll move this skewer over. almost done, but before I finish that, I just need to write a couple notes. Otherwise, I'll forget. I need to remember after this to take a quick work in progress photo and add a task to actually download the music. Okay, I feel like I got like about 5 minutes of painting left. Thanks, Braven. I'm glad you appreciate the freehand stuff. It's been a fun experiment the last year. You know, I painted, I guess, 9 different Plamo kits with like the gradient style with all the glazing and stuff, and I do like that style. I'll go back to it someday, but for the projects last year, I kind of wanted to try something different that also incorporated what I learned on doing all those initial Gamma Wolves projects, and experimenting with the freehand has been very satisfying. Mostly because I never, throughout my years painting minis, I've never really seen myself as someone who can like pull off freehand. And, you know, I still like, there's still like a lot of freehand banners I see people do for their wargaming armies. They're super intimidating that I feel like there's no way of me to do, but being able to like pull off the freehand filigree for these gunpla projects has definitely been a big confidence boost, and it's helped me like get out of my comfort zone with painting banners for minis and trying some different kinds of freehand. I'm still nowhere near the level of like some other people's banners that I've seen, but I'm happy that I've, you know, given it an effort. Okay, I think that's pretty much all the initial edge highlights done. I suppose for the last, I can get to 2 hours, I'll just spend 7 minutes. I'll be assembling the pieces so you can see it. Yeah, there might be another surprise stream or two this week. But there are some other tasks I need to make sure get done before I go away on the weekend. So I won't commit to doing any more official streams until next week. I'll tentatively say it, so I'll tentatively say the next stream will be Tuesday at the latest. Alright, let me just get these other parts out. Leg. Foot. Arms, waist thrusters, shoulders, torso, weapon, which I'll leave the weapon in the box for now. I don't feel like taking off the backhand pieces right now. Oh, hello, Michael. The first kit was the real great RX-78-2. And a nice janky one to start with. I got that one sitting on the shelf. Biggest learning experience? Yeah, thinning your paint. That's the other thing. You like, the more you thin your paint, the more annoying layers you have to paint on, but the better it looks. It's like the sliding scale of tediousness. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the compliment. It's good to know that my videos are a good place to learn. I, try to make them good reference material, resource, or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing on a lot of my early projects too. It's just a part of the hobby journey. Braven, what's the favorite piece I've painted by far? That's a good question, but a tricky one. I honestly don't even know. I do... yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think when I finished all the first 2 Gamma Wolves crews like 2 years ago, what I said my favorite one was the Buster. Out of like the original 2 Gamma Wolves crews, I'd still go by that. Okay, I just put these upside down. I thought something was wrong there. In terms of the filigreed ones, I don't know. I've done like 3 kind of, because the LBX I did earlier this year had filigreed stuff. But I don't feel confident in saying which one of those is my favorite until this purple Barbatos is done. But you know, so when this is done, if you ask me, I'll probably say it's this one because of recency bias. It's like you're asking me to pick one of my favorite children here. The Barbatos, the kind of like solo agent, was always have a soft spot for that one too, because it's just like I worked on it across such a long period of time, and like when I started it, my techniques and approach was one way, and then when I finished it, it was kind of like evolved. Yeah, it's hard to put this together without like rubbing away the paintwork I'd done before. Alright, let's add the head. Oh, you found my channel through the nail art GOG Artichard? That's fun. Yeah, Braven is definitely an Ava-esque color scheme. Definitely gonna make at least one joke about that in the script. Probably more than one, knowing me. There's no scribing on this one, actually, Michael. I'm very bad at scribing. I always cut my fingers. But edge highlighting the panel lines is kind of like the brush version of scribing in a way. Alright, well, there it is. All the initial edge highlights done. And, yeah, I'm not sure what I'll do next. Probably block in some filigree, because I just did a bunch of edge highlighting, and I don't want to finish up the black edge highlighting yet. So thank you all for coming to this stream. Oh, and I just broke 2 hours. Perfect. Thank you all for coming to the stream. The next one will be sometime early next week for sure. You might get a surprise 1 or 2 this week, depending how the rest of my chores go. So I thank you all very much for coming, and I hope to see you in the next stream. Goodbye and have a great Wednesday.